Charlie, you're starting to look more and more like your avatar.
I'm very easy to caricature. I'm not sure I should be happy about that.
Welcome one and all to an on-night. Is XR collaboration right for your workplace? I hope you're all healthy and keeping it sane. Things are looking up, so we are feeling actually optimistic today. Today we are tackling one of the hottest topics in XR. As you all know, interest in remote team collaboration has skyrocketed over the past year, but people are still confused about it. What is it? How do you use it? And frankly, most have actually never tried it in VR or AR. So today we brought the XR explainer-in-chief, Charlie Fink, the guy who actually wrote the book about remote collaboration, to lead a 2-day workshop on the topic where students can actually join a live walkthrough inside some of the leading virtual collaboration platforms. Today is a teaser for the workshop. So just to give you a taste of what it's going to be like, but you'll have to join the workshop to find out what really happened in the season finale. My name is Ori Inbar. I'm the founder of AWE and Super Ventures, and I have one question for you. Are you ready to get augmented? Works always better in the room, I guess. So folks, by joining AWE, you actually join a global network of AR professionals that meet in over 20 cities around the world, currently mostly online, but you can check out the link to find some of the cities that are holding some of these events. I know you are all missing the good old days where we could meet in person. So AWE is making a huge comeback at AWE USA this November in Santa Clara, California. And I can't wait to see you all, not as holograms or avatars, but as humans in the same room. And since you're now part of this incredible community, let's get social, all right? Here are some of the upcoming activities. In the AWE network, we have a meetup coming up soon. The class here that Charlie will lead is one of the next items here, and the fundraising prep course for XR startups that is starting also later in March. Our hashtag for today is on-night and XR collaboration. Let's see if we can make it trend. And guys, if you want to check out the latest news in AR and VR, you may follow our Twitter account, and definitely check out our YouTube channel with the largest collection of videos about AR and VR, including meetups like this one. And for a weekly digest of the latest in AR and VR, every Friday in your inbox, sign up for our weekly spatial newsletter. Before we get to the main attraction of the day, I want to tell you a bit about the 2-day virtual collaboration workshop on March 20 and 21st. Charlie will explore and walk you through the leading collaboration platforms, Spatial, Arthur, VirBELA, Engage, Altspace, Glue, and you'll get exclusive market data access from AR Insider. We also brought leaders from the top platforms as guest speakers. So I'm especially excited that legendary tech illusionist and XR consultant Marco Tempest will take part in it. In this class, you learn about the leading platforms, the pros and cons, the best practices, how to use it in your workplace. It's going to be really an essential workshop for everyone that wants to do remote collaboration, which I guess these days is practically everyone. All right, and now we have a one-man show for you by one of the leading voices in XR. He's an XR consultant, XR author, and now an instructor at AWE Academy. Put your hands together for the one and only Charlie Fink. Give it up.
Wow. Ori always makes me feel really good and smile. So thanks. It's a great way to start a Tuesday. I just want to reiterate at the top of the class what I need everybody to do in order for us to have as little friction as possible as we jump into 2 of the sites where we'll be spending some time during our collaboration workshop. The first site is VirBELA. The link is in the chat. Maybe somebody can post it again for latecomers, cut and paste it. Go there and start downloading immediately because it's a big fat file. With regard to Engage, the principal way to access Engage is recommended the Oculus Quest store. However, they also work pretty well on PCs. And it looks like, I just looked at their website, perhaps mobile phones as well. So that's engage.io on the web, or if you're in your Quest, go to the Quest store and type in Engage, and it's free, the internet's favorite price. I'm going to go ahead and screen share and show you the slides that I put together. There you go, everybody seeing this? Last year when we went into quarantine, I better put on a timer too here, because I do this when I'm teaching. I could really just go on talking to myself. You never, first of all, I turn off self-view. That is the number one thing you have to do when you're teaching 9 hours a week on Zoom, because it's not normal to look at yourself in a mirror while you're talking to other people. Unfortunately, you don't get a lot of feedback because, look, I'm looking at a sea of faces that are a little like the size of a postage stamp, which of course is one of the problems with Zoom, right? The larger the group, the less intimate it becomes. But when you're at AWE, there are people sitting next to you. You have presence. There's still some kind of human intimacy about your presence there that is completely missing on Zoom. So what I set out to do last spring when my classes and I were exiled was say, well, look, we're a VR class. I mean, come on, the world has been exiled. That doesn't mean we have to do video conference calls. I mean, we are VR. Let's get out there and figure out what's going on. Let's tackle it like a big feature story. And they essentially became my editorial assistants. And we looked at 120 sites that existed for remote collaboration and virtual conferences. Some of them are based at very successful ones based on video. So this is the class and I in Spatial. Spatial is one of the sites that will be featured in our actual workshop. But the thing about Spatial, of course, is that they have quasi-realistic avatars. It's a big wow when you go into Spatial. It's a pretty successful platform. I'm sorry we're not going there today, but with 80 people, too many would be left out because they can't have that many simultaneous users inside of a simulation. So let me just sing the praises for Zoom, not just because it's an amazing stock to own, but because it really has saved our ass, okay? Let's be fair. It's free. There's a freemium version that most people use. They made it free to universities and schools, which was, probably one of the greatest services they could have done at that moment. But they also helped themselves, right? Because they are now a household word. And I guess we're going to have to add a Z to FANG. FANG being the 5 top tech companies, but there really are 6 because they leave out. Well, never mind it. Yeah. Anyway, Zoom has great host controls. It has screen sharing. One thing I love is the single click invitation. They've added all these AR features to the camera to make it more fun. Look, I've got I'm on Zoom right now. I've soft focused my background. I didn't touch up my face, but could have, should I have had a sufficient level of vanity. The problems with Zoom, though, are at this point well known to each of you personally, right? It is the world's the personal computer on which you consume Zoom is the greatest distraction machine ever invented by man. So and of course, it's very hard to retain things that happen on Zoom. I will now, okay, I'm old and I have my senior moments, but I will interview somebody on Zoom and I take careful notes, just like I always do when I do an interview. And then I go back 3 days later, I'm like, what the heck did we do? It's just, you don't remember it as well. And I think students have a hard time with that as well. So my students and I went and looked at 120 platforms in VR and not, and tried to figure out what's going to be next after Zoom. And we, these are a few of the sites that already are being used and are full of features that we will visit during our weekend workshop. Again, today we'll look at VirBELA and Engage. There are many more. I mean, we cannot in a weekend, in 8 hours of classroom time, we cannot show you all the sites that there are that you should know about. And of course, everybody's excited about Microsoft Mesh. It's a new method of doing remote telepresence. It's a little bit like spatial, but certainly we will talk about these sites, but there's no way we could visit them all. Interestingly, and an interesting conversation to be had, especially when you've all had a chance to visit these sites, is to start to understand what features they all have in common, how they vary, and how that'll affect their potential use cases. Some sites like Engage could have up to 1,000 simultaneous users in a simulation. VirBELA also, that's why we chose these 2 sites today, because we knew that they could accommodate everybody, but they don't have some of the other features. So we'll have to weigh all that in a context where we have more time. I've been doing this world hopping for almost a year now. A lot of corporate clients are interested in learning. Interestingly, a flood of corporate clients after Christmas, right? Because people saw somebody they knew got a VR headset, and all of a sudden people are like, hey, wait a minute, do you think that maybe it has something to do with business? So, okay, here's Engage VirBELA, a couple things we'll be doing in each one of them. Thank you guys for listening. Yeah, sorry I had to rush through that. This is just way too much content to cover in an hour. So, this is an amuse-bouche, if you will, of what our actual collaboration workshop is going to be. So I want you guys to put on your headset, jump into Engage, create an account if you don't have one. When you go into Engage, look for on the events calendar, you'll say join a meeting, and you'll go onto the events calendar, and I'm going to set up a room, and I'm going to call that room AWE.
Hey, welcome. We're in Engage, a platform for remote education and training. It is one of the oldest and most popular collaboration platforms. In fact, it's part of an enterprise suite resold by HTC, although obviously there are lots of individual teachers and organizations which have joined independently since they launched in 2018. They've refined it quite a bit. They have dozens of locations. We could work together or teach or train or have a conference in a expo center, the Serengeti, an ancient Greek amphitheater, or on the surface of Mars. And these are all things we'll experience together in our workshop on the weekend of March 20th and 21st. And we'll be in a group of 20 people. Now that is in a way the most extraordinary part of this weekend workshop, where we'll be visiting dozens of sites like Engage, which would allow us to work and collaborate and learn as if we were together in the physical world. 2 things I want to show you real quickly here. One is I'm going to summon a flock of birds. They have a number, I should say hundreds, actually, of 3D objects which we can bring into simulations like this for learning purposes. There's my flock. I love them. That's one of my favorite effects. And I will erase them. And now I want to show you one of my favorite locations here, the Martian surface. So hang on, and we'll take a quick jaunt there. One thing that's kind of amazing is that you spawn here and you're wearing a spacesuit. All of us are wearing spacesuits, in fact. And as you can see, I'm standing next to the Mars rover, not the most recent Mars rover, one of the earlier iterations.
I think we got a nice taste of what it's like to spend time and Engage. I actually do take actual classes there. In fact, Morehouse University just announced that they are conducting non-technology classes, a biology class and a history class inside of Engage using a company called Victory XR. Made sure to get that exactly straight in case any of them are here. All right. Come on back, you people. One thing I didn't put in my slide deck that I am super excited about, I know Ori mentioned it, futurist Marco Tempest has been working with Accenture to build their own custom VR collaboration platform for their internal use. And it is in many, many ways, Engage is equal. And they've been working on Engage for over 3 years. So that is super exciting. And that's a once, that's a one-time only kind of thing that, civilian people like us are never going to get to see. The other thing, of course, is we can learn from Accenture who they're talking to, how people are using it, right? That's the one thing as a consultant I don't ever get to be, right? I don't ever get to be one of the people on the team at Boeing that is using spatial. I don't ever get to be part of the team that's being trained in Engage so that I can really see firsthand how these things are being used today in business. But I do know it as a teacher, and I've sat in on classes in Engage that have been taught to other teachers, and it's like Ready Player One. It really is incredible. And I took a biology class with Victory XR, and you get the best biology teacher in the world to teach the class. Right. And so I was in there and I learned more about biology in that half an hour class with that teacher in Engage than I think I learned in all of 9th grade. Now, it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison, but you see my point. So now to end our little presentation today, we are going to go to VirBELA. VirBELA is should be familiar to everybody. It looks a little like a video game. You're controlling an avatar. As you register, just as you did in Engage, you'll choose an avatar. I think as a guest, your options are somewhat limited. We'll be meeting their director of sales, Mark Daniels. So you will enter the simulation, and at a spawn point, right? That's where everybody materializes in the simulation. And then step out of it, and you'll see me and Mark and a big group, and then we will all travel together to various locations. It's Second Life for business, but it's simplified and super fun. I'm going to screen share while I'm doing this in case somebody is having trouble with the app, downloading it and getting going, or simply doesn't have time, or just came in for whatever reason. So I'm going to screen share my adventure in VirBELA in 1 minute as I log in.
So to understand correctly, VirBELA is not on the Oculus, correct? It's a browser experience?
It's a application on your Mac or desktop.
So we have a pretty big group here, so.
Excellent. Let's just get a little away from.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that people can see it. It looks like you've got a lot of traffic here on a Tuesday morning on the West Coast.
Yeah, we will actually be able to pop in right at the end here in a second, but we've got the Financial Times is running an event.
Nice.
So a lot more people will be coming in for J Jazzy Jeff.
That's great.
Kind of Fresh Prince throwback. So great.
So yeah, you've got us for about 15 minutes. So this is just a taste we're giving people of a weekend workshop that we'll be doing in 2 weeks on the 20th and the 21st. So obviously VirBELA will be featured. One of the things I love about VirBELA, and I have say to everybody, is VirBELA meets people where they are, which is really nice, right? It's super easy to use. You don't have any issues trying to learn a new medium. It uses the tools that we already have to do something we're already doing just a little better. And it's you've got enough agency that it does keep you leaning in. And by agency, I mean, of course, our ability to affect things in the simulation. And one of those things is, of course, moving around. And if you look up in your menu on the left, you're going to see some of the functionality. If you want to walk, you use your arrow keys, or WASD. I'm going to Mark Daniels, their director of sales at VirBELA, is here with us, and I'm going to turn it over to him now to do a short presentation to you guys about VirBELA.
As Charlie had mentioned, so If you use your arrow keys, you can turn to the left and the right. You can walk forward and back. And different environment. So for one, which is walk for you. If you just click on the door there, it'll let you through. So just click on the door and I'll make sure everybody got up here. So from the stage itself, we can do presentations and we can control all of the unique screens in the world. So on the stage controls to the left here, if I wanted to do something like show my webcam, wave to you, and you can see my dirty room here. So my apologies for the mess in the background, but we can also share my desktop and we can read through some of these cool blog posts that we've got, but a ton of flexibility around presenting itself. So now we'll do a little more of an advanced move and click on your go-to menu in the top left and click VirBELA Offices, VirBELA First Floor. And if you step in the blue area, that's actually a private conversation zone. So that means that just like in a regular office, if you wanted to have more of a personalized conversation, then you can have that in these spaces. So VirBELA itself was designed by organizational psychologists, and the initial funding for VirBELA was actually from the National Science Foundation. It was spun out of UC San Diego, so a little bit different than some of the more commercial software. We really have user experience at the core. And let's just walk around a little bit. So the boardroom here is one of the great examples of how you can have specific types of space. So as we looked at the broader office, we saw all the individual group offices, but in the boardroom itself, you can change the configuration. So if you're running more of a workshop type environment, you can have people sit down at different conference tables. If you're running a classroom type of environment, you can set this up for individual tables. For that learning, you can open and close the door, as I've seen people have gotten a good feel for. And then you can also do the classic large table. And all of these screens, just like the screens in the auditorium itself, are screens that you can manipulate. So you can share your screen, you can share a Google Doc, and people can work on it together. You can run through and share a webcam, etc. And any sort of questions from the group, or if I don't get them, we will keep rolling. So let's do go to and then Expo Hall. Now we're in the Expo Hall, so think this as being akin to a large conference center. It's the type of thing that if you wanted to have a private conversation, you can again use those private volume areas, and we can walk right into the Expo Hall. It's on our left here. So in the Expo Hall area here, as you see, it's set up with all these different booths, and the booths themselves can be configured in different setups, and you have areas that can change. So from the custom content perspective, you can change the logos on any of these spaces, and then this is all built in a graphical framework called Unity. So we have had corporate clients and education clients that have actually recreated their own campuses. So that's something that Stanford did, for example. So you can actually rebuild that entire experience. And I saw Mauricio had that question. Do any other questions come to mind for the group? All right, so now we'll do our last stop. It's going to be Go To Speakeasy, and you can bust out some dance moves.
Thanks for joining me for a brief sneak peek at my upcoming AWE Academy workshop on XR collaboration on the weekend of March 20th. We'll use lectures, in-world experiences, guest speakers, panels, and private consultations with yours truly to help you identify which platforms are right for your business needs. Today, we'll be doing quick dives into two of the platforms that we'll be featuring, Engage and VirBELA, and you'll get a taste of what the workshop will feel like. Engaging in these platforms in a group setting is really the only way to see what they would really be like with your colleagues and working. The class is limited to only 20. It's actually a big group in XR. We have a lot of fun. It's exhausting. It's awesome. Reserve your spot today.
Thank you, Charlie. But I think the main takeaway is that you just need more time to spend in these VR collaboration tools to really get a hang of it. After you go through some of the technical settings, you just need to get used to it, just like in any new world. I think we barely scratched the surface, and that's why we have put together this 2-day workshop with Charlie so that you can really spend more time in each one of those platforms, get the hang of it, and also kind of understand how you could use it for your own workplace. Feel free to go into this URL on top or just awxr.com under the Academy campaign, and then would love to see you in this workshop. So if you have questions, feel free to send it, either kind of reply to the email invitations or post it here. And we will make sure to have Charlie as well as the other platforms respond to those questions. That's all we have for you today. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you in the next Nite Meetup. Keep up going spatial. Take care, everybody.